I used to tell my kids I didn't want to cry and see me unless there was a cup of water. Otherwise, I had to do it.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel.
I've already had those. I'm really glad this is for.
Yep. Oh, I'm wearing my.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
What's that?
Oh, it's Cathedral football merch.
Nice.
Okay, so here's what I want to do first. I want you did problem yesterday, 1A and B, on review 2125. So now we're going to do number 1C. We're going to finish that off. Number 1C. Does anybody remember? I was going to set you loose on this on your own, but this is kind of a tough one. Not tough, but you just have to remember something. Does anybody remember what the setup is for a parabola?
Vertex.
Yeah, you got the vertex. For the equation, I mean.
And parentheses, like x minus 1 times the square plus
Minus 4. Bingo, bingo, bingo. That's it. That's the vertex form of a parabola. Okay? That's the vertex form of a parabola. It happens over and over again. Kids use those numbers instead of these. No, no, no. The numbers have to be the vertex point. Okay? Notice that the one in parentheses is the opposite, like usual. The one not in the parentheses is just regular. And you gotta, of course, have the square. Now, how do we find n?
You plug in 2 to x and then -2 to y.
Yeah. This is not gonna work though, kids, unless you have the right setup. So always start with your vertex. And then do PEMDAS. 2 minus 1 is 1 squared is 1, so I have n minus 4. Not 1 minus 4. I gotta multiply first. So 1n minus 4. So it looks like in this case n is 2. And I would put a 2 right here, and that would be the answer to the question. Right?
Yeah.
Next one. Describe how this, okay, so this is your normal BFF quadratic. What's happened here? This is kind of a review question, but it's really, really important. What's happened?
It's going up.
No?
Oh wait, oh
It's
no.
actually going down 9.
Oh wait, no, oh, you mean like the vertex?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
How has our position changed?
Oh, it's gone down, like from the
No, this is
Oh, yeah, it's gone down
We're on a new
9,
problem.
down 9 and left 1. Oh,
So
okay.
it's going left 1, down 9,
The parabola is going up.
and it's going up. Well, they're both going up, right? But this one's going up twice as fast.
Yeah.
So if this is the original, this is the new one. It's going up faster. It's steeper slope. It really isn't slope, but you know what I mean. All right. Find the quotient and remainder. All right. This is easy. What's going to go in the box? I'm on problem 3.
1, 2.
Problem 3, what's going to go in the box? 2. Be careful. 3, 0, 9, negative 8, 1. For question number 3, I have to divide, because dividing is the only way I'm going to find the quotient. For question 4, I can plug in. Does everybody see the difference between question 3 and 4? All right, so here we go. Lordy.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
What do you think? Is that what you got? I might have made a mistake. Don't just find me copy mine down. By the way, look at these numbers. What can you tell me about two? It's an upper bound, right? It's an upper bound. Look at those. All right, what's my quotient? 3x to the third plus 6x squared plus 21x plus 34. That's my quotient. And my remainder is 69 over x minus 2. Okay, how are we gonna miss that problem? We're gonna miss it because we don't pay attention to the zero. Right? Pay attention to the zeros. All right, number 4, find the remainder. I surely do not want to do this for problem 4 because there are a lot of
Zeros.
So instead, I'm gonna pretend that my dividend is a function. And I'm just gonna plug in what? What am I gonna plug in?
Negative.
I plug in, now listen to me, I plug in the same thing that I would have put in the box. So if you have an x plus 1, aren't you gonna put a negative 1 in the box?
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna plug in. What happens when you raise negative 1 to an even power?
Comes positive.
So this is just 3?
Yep.
What happens when you raise negative 1 to an odd power?
Stays negative.
So this is actually gonna become positive 4?
Yep.
And then minus 10. Negative 3? Number 5. Is this thing a factor of this other thing? Why or why not? What do you want to do? A couple of options. What would you like to do?
Plug in.
Synthetic.
You can plug in or synthetic. If you and both are going to be about the same amount of work. If you plug in, what would you be plugging in?
Negative 3.
What would you be plugging in?
Negative.
Negative 3. If you divide, you're going to be dividing by negative 3. I think it might be easier just to divide in this case. It doesn't matter. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. Did I do that right? Yep. So is x plus 3 a factor?
Yes.
Yes, because the remainder is 0. What would have happened if I would have done this? I would have gotten 0. List all, oh wait, 6. Find an upper bound. There are lots of answers for the real zeros of this thing. So 1, negative 4, 2, 1. I want to find an upper bound. All right, so what are your thoughts? Lots of answers. How about we just pick one? What would be, I'm not looking for a 0, so don't worry about factors and all that. I want everything positive.
One.
Wanna try 1? I don't think 1's gonna work. It's not. See what's gonna happen right
Negative.
there? So maybe we need a number bigger than 1?
Negative 2.
How about, I don't think 2's gonna work either. See what I mean? Look right here. What do I need this to
Positive
be?
4. Yeah, 4.
I need that to be positive, don't I?
Negative.
So how about if I pick up here a number like 6? What's gonna happen? When I add, I get 2,
Yeah, they're all positive.
and now it's 14, and now it's something, I don't know, it's gonna be something positive, right?
So for that, we can pick any number.
As long as this row, including this last one, the 84, as long as that last, this quotient row right here is all positive. So it says there are lots of answers. Could I pick 7? 5? Yeah. It was getting past this negative that was the problem, because I had to add and get positive, right? List all the possible rational roots. So the PRRs, possible rational roots, are gonna be factors of 3 over factors of 2. And I'm supposed to list those. This is not a list. So it could be 3 and 1, but it could also be 3 over 2 and 1 over 2. You only have to put the plus or minus once. But do include the plus or minus. That's half your answers are negative. Okay? I'm gonna skip 8 for a moment. That's really review stuff. And let's look at 9 where we're solving. We are going to be solving, finding the zeros. Find the zeros. And what are you gonna do with problem 1, A? Problem A.
Factor.
I would love to factor it.
Quadratic.
Let's see if it factors. Won't it have to be minus and minus? And my choices are 5 and 1, and it really doesn't matter where I put the 5 and the 1, it's never gonna be 3, is it? So factoring doesn't work.
Quadratic.
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Guys, you can't forget your quadratic formula. Oh my gosh, we have to know it. What's under there? Is that negative 31? So I'm gonna put I root 31. Do them. Anybody have a question about that? I hope not. Quadratic formula. You're not using the quadratic formula with this one because it's not a quadratic. If you still what?
Quadratic
Factor of x squared. No. Then you're gonna have a little quadratic here.
Now do
I think this one does that.
Factors.
1 and 11. So minus 11 plus 1. Will that give me negative 10 in the middle? So the direction said solve though. So what are my answers?
X
X
minus
equals
0.
0,
Zero.
yeah, X equals 11.
11 and negative 1. And this one actually happens twice. So we call that the multiplicity. Remember, an x to the 4th is gonna have 4 answers. So you can't just list 3. There has to be another one. Well, the other one happens to be exactly like this one. Right? Okay. How about this one? This is an interesting problem. Stand back and look at the big picture. Does that look like this?
No, it's just
Just bigger? Could that factor?
Yeah.
That would factor as x, what, x minus 6 plus 1?
Are there multiplicities on them?
No. Would everybody agree with that, if that had been the problem? Now, this is exactly the same numbers. The only difference will be, these are gonna be x squares. This is what we call quadratic form. It's built like a quadratic, so you can do quadratic
Then you
things.
simplify the negatives, or so it's x plus 3x minus, or would you?
Well, it has to be x plus 5.
Oh, wait.
Original.
Has to be a perfect square.
X plus 7, yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect square.
Here?
No.
Oh,
I was talking about down there, yeah, it has to be perfect.
I copied the wrong thing up there. And then this is minus.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, you're right.
So then when it go out,
I was saying X plus
have
six.
to.
Yeah, no, you do, you do. This one doesn't factor, but this one does. This is what you were trying to do, Jake, when I had to assign in a row
Oh,
spot.
yeah.
So what are my answers? These are easy. X equals -1 or X equals 1.
That one's group.
And this one's x squared equals -6, which means x equals plus or minus I root 6. Very good. So there's 2, here's the other 2. There are our 4 answers. All right, how about D? Look at D. Anything strike you about this one? You can group it. So x squared, x plus 2, minus 9, x plus 2. Is that all right with everybody? We're on D. We're factoring by grouping D. Everybody good? So take out the x plus 2, and we got x squared minus 9, which is x plus 3, x minus 3. So what are my answers? I need 3 of them.
Plus or minus three.
I'm gonna get -2, 3, and -3, and you can do plus or minus there if you want those guys. Very good?
Yep.
Next, looks like very similar problem, except what?
You're done group.
It, how about it doesn't group? It doesn't group, okay? So what do we do?
We do PRR.
PRR.
That's what I learned on the quiz.
I gotta get that turned. So we're gonna do PRRs on this guy? Did I copy it right? Okay. So what are the PRRs? At least there aren't many.
2,
2 and 1 over 1. Now, every problem is gonna be different, but when I look at this one, I know that I have to end up with a 0, right? Every number in this list is positive. No positive number is gonna give me 0. Because isn't a positive number just gonna keep getting more and more positive? So I'm gonna pick a negative. I don't care which one you wanna try. I'll try -1. Wait a minute. Unless I got optimistic and faked some numbers, I think that does work.
I think it does.
Now, if you didn't understand my logic about why I picked a negative, that's okay. You can pick your positives, but I know they're not going to work, but it's okay, you can pick them.
It's because they're all positive.
Yeah, because you're just gonna end up with a positive answer. Now, one of my answers is the one I guessed, -1. Where am I going to get the other answers?
The quadratic formula.
X squared plus 3x plus 2? Could I use the quadratic formula? Absolutely. But this one factors pretty handily. Which means, what are my other answers? -2 and, oh, this one has multiplicity 2. That one happens twice. Which means if I were graphing it, what?
It goes through -1.
It doesn't go through -1 twice. It bounces at -1, right? If the root squared, if it happens twice, you're gonna have a bounce. All right, we're almost done with this section. One more, F. What are we doing with F? I heard somebody say grouping. There are some definite, like, similarities here, but is grouping gonna work? No. So what am I gonna do? PRRs, and this one's even easier than the last one, because it's just plus or minus one. Plus one. Looks good, actually. Yep, perfect.
Good.
So remember, we're solving, so one of our answers is 1. If it gives us a 0, it's an answer. If I were graphing it, I would have an intercept at 1, right? That number right there is an intercept. All right, where am I gonna get my other 2 answers? Yeah, x squared plus 5x plus 1 does not factor. So -5 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2. So at least that's going to be positive. What is it? The square root of 21? And there are my other 2 answers. Now we just solved a whole slew of equations. Are they okay with that? All right, I'm gonna hand out some papers. While I'm handing out the papers, would you sketch number 10? While I'm returning your quizzes and such, would you sketch problem number 10? Sorry, that would be you too. Are you working on it? Okay.
Yeah.
This, that was beyond my wildest imagination. Grace, are you guys graphing? Quit
Yeah.
talking. Remember on your sketches page, you are going to lose points if you don't graph your label your intercepts. Make sure that you have labeled your intercepts.
I got it. Wait, what'd you actually get on the quiz? It was.
Colors are here. I think I got them all turned out. Okay? Oh, shoot. You can't look at the quiz, you have to take it. All right, so we're gonna answer quiz questions in a second. Let's do some more review. We have time, and then we'll send Jackson out. Don't let him to see your quiz, anyone? Oh, and hide your quiz.
Oh, do I go out? You want me to go out?
No, we're not gonna go over it yet, we're gonna review some, and then you're gonna go out.
Okay.
This is from
You wrote like dates on my papers.
Okay?
No, is that like for this, or was that for something? I don't know what it is. Yeah, you probably did.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
We both did it.
all right. All right, tell me what you did. Come on, you gotta be able to grab this thing, tell me what you did.
Down.
It's down, plot points at -1, 0, 2, 0, 5, 0. And then you start off
And it slows
negative,
down. All right,
bounce,
let's back up. How did we know it was down?
it's negative in front of the
Well, it's 4 X's, right? 4 X's. That's up, normally, but it's a negative, so we're gonna start down. What do you do when you get to here?
bounce,
Bounces because it came from that,
3 with
connects through, connects
3.
through. Did everybody get a picture that looks like that?
Yep.
Okay. A stone is thrown with an upward velocity of 14 meters. Okay, so we have our equation.
Yeah,
We have our equation, which is, is that a 14? Okay. When will the stone reach its highest elevation? Now listen to me, some of you are uncomfortable with this. What shape is that equation? Parabola, right? Opening down. Isn't this the highest elevation?
so you find the vertex.
So we find the vertex, and how do we find the vertex?
Negative B.
Negative B over 2A. Which I have no idea what that is. That's a little harder than most of our numbers have been. So 14 divided by 9.8. So I'm gonna say 1.429. I'm just gonna go with that. Now, that would be this number right here. Would everybody agree with that? And in this equation, that is the T. So what did the question want to know? When will it reach its highest elevation? 1.429 seconds. Right? Now, if I plugged that number into here, I would get that number, right? What does that number stand for?
The maximum.
That is the actual maximum height. This problem doesn't ask for that, but sometimes they do.
I wanted to ask, when is it, like, I don't know my question is different from this one, but mine said, like, when does the ball hit the ground? So
Okay,
when-
that's the second part of this question. Okay? Okay? So we're gonna do now part B, we just did part A. And again, we have to understand, if you're finding the vertex, you're finding you're finding an ordered pair. X is the when, Y is the how high. Okay? Now we wanna know, when will the stone hit the ground? No, we're back to this equation right here. When does it hit the ground? When this equals
0.
0. When the height is 0, isn't that when it's on the ground? So we solve this equation. And because of the decimal, that's gonna be kinda yucky, but how do you solve something like that?
Quadratic formula?
Quadratic formula. And it's gonna be messy, and you're gonna have to type stuff into your calculator, and you're going to get two answers. one of them will be a negative number and one of them will be a positive number.
No, you positive.
Yeah, you're gonna pick the positive one. Okay, now, I was so impressed with some of you because even, you didn't know how to do this, which of course did not impress me at all, but you took what you thought was a logical guess. You said that it would hit the ground at 2.858 seconds. Now, that isn't right, and we'll talk about why, but I love the logic. I love the logic. The logic was, if it took it that many seconds to get up, this is a parabola. Isn't it gonna be that many seconds down? Yes. What's wrong with that logic? I get it, it's good, solid logic, but there's one little thing that's wrong.
It could start like higher than 0.
It did start. It started up here at 30. Right? So this will be when it's back down to 30 again. And where it hits the ground is gonna be something else. But I love the logic there. Good thinking. All right.
So with that 2.85, say be that the one above it, the point?
No. I don't know what that number is. Plug this in and that would be that number. The 2.5 was just this double. So if I had a parabola that started at 0 and this was 4, then I know if this was 4 comma something, I know that would be 8. It started at 0. Because that was 4 and that would be 4. If you start up here, you can't use that logic. Because here you're not on the ground, here you are. All right, let's skip down to number 13. We've done these before. We're gonna sell a magazine. Yeah. And right now, how much money do I make right now? Right now, my income is 80,000 times $1.60. That's what I'm making right now. You agree? I want to make more. So somebody's done some research and figured out what? We're gonna lose 10,000 readers for every price change. So 80,000 minus 10,000x. Right, we lose 10,000 increments. And I'm selling it. I'm losing readers, I have increased my price. How much have I increased it by?
0.4.
0.4. Does that setup make sense to everybody? Okay. What do I want to do? I want to maximize my income. So I'm going to go ahead and FOIL that guy out. These numbers are very large. Good thing I have my calculator. Be careful, don't lose any zeros. Minus what? Oh, I should get rid of that calculator. Alright, so this, let me clean it up. Alright, I don't know if I did that right or not. What do you think? You okay? Is that look all right? Everybody with the program? All right, and we know we're looking for a maximum. So we got a parabola opening down. I want to find my vertex. Negative B over 2A. Looks like X is 2. Yeah. 2 is not the answer to the question, I don't think. What was the question?
Is the price per copy?
What price per copy maximizes the income? Well, if X is 2, that means that's how many times I'm gonna raise my price. Each time I raise my price, it goes up by 40. So twice would be up by 80 with an original of 160. So $2.40 is the price I'll sell my magazines. Everybody follow that? The question could have said, how many magazines will I sell? Well, then I would look over here, right? Because I started out selling 80,000, but I'm using 2 increments. So I'll be down to 60,000 magazines. Agreed? And it could have said, what will be my maximum income? And then I would take my 60,000 times my 240, and that will be my maximum income. All right, number 14, find the dimensions of the largest picture. So I got a picture. I'm gonna frame it by a ribbon that is 124 centimeters long. Oh, this is not as complicated as some of them have been. So you got this picture, and you're just gonna wrap a ribbon around it. So basically, isn't it telling me that my perimeter is 124? Okay. So the perimeter is 124. So what am I gonna do? What's my equation gonna look like?
Is that like a rectangle?
That's a rectangle. Doesn't it say a rectangular picture, or not just says picture, but yeah, we're gonna assume it's a rectangle. I got an X somewhere, right? X. Okay, now what?
124 minus X.
What?
124 minus X.
Here?
Yeah.
What do we think? Well, yeah, I'm multiplying to get my area, but I'm not convinced I have the right dimensions here. I understand where the 124 minus X came from, but I want you to think about something here. All the way around is 124. So one of these and one of these cannot be 124. All the way around is 124. So what are these two?
X minus.
62? 62? So if this is X, this would be 62 minus X. Now look, if you're still struggling, add all these up. What do all those equal? Yeah, so we got it now. So we want area, so we're gonna multiply X times 62 minus X, which is 62X minus X squared, or negative X squared plus 62X if you're worried about the order. And I want the maximum again, don't I? Gorgeous. So x equals negative b over 2a, so 31. What are the dimensions then? Well, this would be 31, and
30.
so would this? So it's a square, it's 31 by 31. All right, last one. CHS cafeteria. So my supply function, you're gonna have to help me here, I'm not sure. Minus P plus 0.000, a whole bunch of O's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I copy that right? I can barely read it. Alright, tell me if I got this copied right. Find the price when supply equals demand. What could we do? Well, instead of equal to each other, what I think I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna graph that. This would be a calculated problem, definitely. I'm gonna graph that, and on the review sheet, the type, the type problems are all calculator. The untyped ones are not calculator. So I'm gonna type in that equation and that equation into y equals, and find the point of intersection, yep. P's are x's. Hope I got a copy of it. Was I doing this besides me? Wow. Yeah, there. There we go. Alright, so I had to mess with my window. My x's were 0 to 200 and my y's were 0 to 2000. But when I did that, I got a beautiful picture. Anybody in econ, don't they look like that all the time? Something similar to that, supply and demand curves.
Oh, yeah.
And we're finding the point where they intersect, which is called what? Equilibrium. Yep, good. Alright, so second calc intersect. And if I got everything typed in right, I have 106, basically 107, it's almost exactly 107, comma 1010.15. So let's go back and remember, in the original equation, my x's, these were my x's, stood for the price per sandwich. Whoa. What's our price per sandwich? $107. And then what does our Y represent? What is all this stuff? What's that? That's how many sandwiches I
Actually sold.
made and sold. So I supplied that many sandwiches, and you guys bought that many sandwiches. So it was, about 1,010 sandwiches were actually bought. Okay, and then I want to just jump up to do the review problem number 12. I don't know if it's on this test or not, but it will definitely be on your semester exam, and it's almost November, so we probably better review this real quick. We'll get it set up and then I'll take your questions. Remember cutting the paper, remember that? And the paper is 10 by 14. So what's the equation for my
10
volume?
minus 2x.
10 minus 2x,
14 minus
14 minus 2x, and x. Good. Type it in on your calculator and find the top of the hill. What's your domain? Domain is 0 to 5.
No,
Right.
yeah.
These are your
Thank you.
x's, x min, x max. Okay? So you remember that. All right, so Jack, I need you to just
Got it.
go sit down in that quiet area. Leave your stuff here because you're coming back for prayer. But just go sit there. Don't cause any trouble. Go, Jack. Go. He was supposed to take it this morning, but he gave me some soft sore and I let him go. So he's gonna take it after school. All right, now let's hit any questions you had on that quiz. Miss White,